Hi, this is Maggie. I decided that I wanted to have some new hanging decor on my porch for the holiday season and for the winter. And because that was going to involve a little bit of crafting, I decided to record it and share with you what I did. Now, this is the piece that's been hanging on my porch for the latter part of the fall season, and I'll include a link to the video where I create this for you if you're interested. I already had another sort of snowflake shape like this in white, and I made that one a few years ago. So basically, if you want to see how to make it, I'll have an abbreviated version of that here, but you should go watch the other video because I made this black one in the other video. The white one I made a year or two before, and I made it by the same process, except I painted the white one with some outdoor latex paint because I was painting a porch at the time anyway, and then I sanded it a little bit to give it more of a rustic look. And I never quite figured out what I wanted to do with that white piece for the winter. Last year I had just sort of tied one of those large brown snowflakes that you can buy at the Dollar Tree to the front of it, and that was okay, but I wanted to do something else this year. So I went to the Dollar Tree and I looked around for something that I could use, and I really wanted something that I could transition from the holiday season into the winter without changing it. And what I found, first of all, were these snowflakes, and there are 3 snowflakes on one piece, so I needed 2 of these because there are 6 different pieces of fence post in the decor piece, and I wasn't sure if I was going to affix these to the fence post or if I was going to put them between the fence post like I did with the corn stalks for the autumn one. So I think that the tinsel is fine, but I am going to remove the tinsel from these. And to do that, if you're lucky, you can find an end to the tinsel, because this is one long piece of tinsel, which is wrapped around the snowflake shape, which is made of plastic. But if you can't find it, you can basically just pop the tinsel off of the little plastic pieces it's just wrapped around them, so they're sort of holding it in place. So you can just pop it off and work your way around. Eventually you'll find the end, but it's not really critically important. So I separated all 6 snowflakes and removed all of the tinsel, and I set that aside because I'm sure I'll be able to use that on a future project. With the tinsel removed, I then painted them all with this folk art metallic silver sterling paint. And this goes on very gray, but it gets a little lighter and a little more shimmery when it dries. Once the paint had dried, I took this mesh tube from the Dollar Tree, and this is sort of a silvery white color. And I thought I would wrap around the snowflake with the tube. Now, the pattern that I decided to do when I wrapped around takes about 60, 70, somewhere in there, inches of the tube. So I measured out between 70 and 90. The first time I did it, I wanted to make sure that I had plenty. I had already wrapped it around to get an estimate of how much I would need, but I wasn't sure with tying it in a knot and things like that if I would need a little bit more. So I'd say 70 or 80 inches is probably the amount you want if you're going to be doing the same pattern that I do. And what I first did was tied it on the back, and I used a square knot, but I wasn't very confident about this stuff staying tied. So once I had tied it, I then just hot glued over the knot to make it a little bit more secure, and then brought it around to the front through the hole in the middle, and then I just wrapped it around each of those little snowflake points. Now, once you wrap it, you're going down through the hole again, you're in the back, so I then just decided to wrap it around those pieces in the middle between the snowflake points. So I wrapped it twice around those, and then brought it back through, sort of underneath those, and then up over the next point. And I just repeated that all the way around the snowflake, and then took what was left of the mesh and slid it under a couple of the loops in the back, tied it, and gave it a good glob of hot glue again, because again, not too confident about the knots. So you end up with a tail if you do cut the 70 or 80 inches for each one. And it took me 1 package for 5 of these snowflakes, and then I needed 1 more package, and of course there's a lot left over. So then what I did was I used hot glue to glue it to the top of the snowflake. I decided I did not want them between the points of the snowflake like I had done with the one for the fall. I decided I would glue them to the snowflake, and then once I have glued them all, I wrapped what was left, the tail of the mesh, around a couple of times, and then glued that down on the front. Now, the one that I cut the shortest was just long enough for me to wrap it around twice, so it doesn't hurt to cut it just a little bit long. And then in the back, I cut them all and just glued them to the center so that they weren't loose. Now, I'm using hot glue because this is going to be a winter decoration, and so it will be plenty cool outside, and also because I'm probably going to do something different with this next winter, and so I want this to be something where I can easily pull the snowflakes off and try something different next year. Now for the center, Dollar Tree has these gorgeous tree toppers that are these metal silver snowflakes, and I bought a number of these, and they are going to be showing up in a winter decor piece after the holidays. So 3 of them are going to show up in a winter decor piece after the holidays. So I did remove that spring from the bottom, and I did that with a pair of pliers, and I use a knife to sort of scrape the glue a little bit. And it's a little bit tricky because the snowflake itself is bendable, but if you twist and spin it around, you can get them off. And like I said, I've already done some of these. I've already removed the springs from some because I have made a decor piece for the winter with these. So I just glued to the tops of this because that's the part that's going to be touching the wooden snowflake, and then just glued it to the center. And here it is. This is a really good size for this space on my porch, so I'm really pleased with it, and I do think that it will transition well to the winter. I'd love to know what you think of it. Tell me in the comments. Happy crafting!